I'm Peggy Pharr Wilson. I'm on my dinner break from tech for a show that opens next week at the Blast called Forgiveness, written by another associate artist, Mark St. Germain. So these three are doing a show tonight, a Boeing Boeing. Alan is in rehearsal for Next to Normal. So here we are.
You got a whole bunch of us.
I'm going to start by just asking everybody, what was your first show here? And if you can remember, when? And tell me something hilarious about it.
Oh, this will be fun. Okay, first show that I did for Barrington was opening this theater in Pittsfield. And it was called Ring Round the Moon. Mark Dold was in it. Innvar was in it. And I remember very near opening, and the theater was not quite done. And we had to wear hard hats when we were rehearsing. And there was the stage, and there was like a hole. There was just a hole. There weren't seats or anything, it was just a hole. And I remember standing at the edge with my hard hat on thinking, well, we're just gonna all fall in this hole. This is not great. Anyway, that's my experience. It's the only time I've worked with Innvar. So this is our kind of reunion, this Boeing thing, and it's been a dream. Mark and I, we're old pals.
And you've been falling in holes ever since.
I fell in a hole backstage the other night. So it was a very interesting show, just very interesting. Yeah.
Everybody's safe though.
Let's see, so I think about 11 years ago was the first show I did. It was called Romance in Hard Times. It was a Bill Finn musical that had been done at the Public that they were looking at trying to redo it. And it was about a woman who was pregnant with a baby, but she wouldn't let her baby out until the world got right. And I played her husband, who basically decided he wasn't going to speak until she had the baby. And so I play a handful of instruments. I do not play the saxophone. But in the show, I had to fake play the saxophone. And I just thought, I can't stand it when actors fake instruments. It looks crazy, and you never believe that they're actually playing the instrument. So I got with the sound designer, said, well, at least have the sound come from the saxophone, like where I am on the stage. And I really didn't love it. I said, because I'm never going to pull this off. And then my mother came to see the show. And after she saw it, the first thing she said was, I didn't know you played the saxophone.
Oh, but can I say something?
Well, good fake.
I have to say one thing about Alan. I fell in love with Alan what was that bounty hunter show? Broadway Bounty Hunter. I don't know if anyone saw it. It was in the Germain Theater. And you played this like 70s pimp guy that I died for. I just have to say, one of my most favorite performances ever. And then Mark Dold did another one of my most favorite. What was that one? The guy
with the fake saxophone?
No, the guy with the numbers. All the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Breaking the Code.
Breaking the Code. Just brilliant. Okay, I'm done now.
Okay.
No favorite for me. Debra Jo? No, I have no favorite. No favorite.
So many.
Saxophone.
I liked your private lives.
Me too. I was in Private Lives too. Hello.
I saw it.
Hello. Hi, I'm Mark H. Dold in Boeing Boeing. My first show was in 2004. This is my 20th anniversary. In Sheffield, Massachusetts. It was Cyrano de Bergerac, directed and adapted by Julianne Boyd, starring this one as Cyrano de Bergerac. And my funny story is auditioning for the show in New York. I was reading for one role, and then just Julie blurted out from across the table, "It's all wrong! It's all wrong!" And of course, I died inside and waited for her to kick me out of the room. But then the next thing she just said was, "This isn't the right role for you. I want you to read for another role." Of course, the other role was much juicier, much more interesting to me. I went in for Libret. right? And then she asked me to read for this other role, to Guiche, and the rest is history.
Sort of the bad guy.
Yeah, the good guy, bad guy.
Good guy, bad guy.
Yeah, the morally ambiguous guy, let's call him.
My first show was the world premiere of The Game in Sheffield in 2003, the year before we did Cyrano. And then it was done again up here several years later. But the thing I most remember, and it's not really a funny story, was that working with Julie, we just hit it off. It was like family, you know, right away. And so she said, "What do you want to do next year?" When that show closed, they drove me back to the city and said, "Name a play you want to do." And I went, "Okay, I want to work here." And it was Cyrano. And so they said, "Yeah, okay, we'll do Cyrano." So it was, you know, the start of a great relationship. Very quick saxophone story, because I just have to tell you. I rented a saxophone because I wanted to learn it. It has nothing to do with theater. I wanted to learn how to play the saxophone. I rented a saxophone, I started playing, I played for a month. I went to take a lesson. I went to Sam Ash, the guy said, "Chris, play a little." I played a little. He said, "How long have you been playing?" I said, "For a month." He said, "That's amazing. That's really incredible." And I was like, "Thank you. Thank you." He goes, "The reed goes on the other side."
Peggy?
Oh, okay. So, between the five of us, I think we've done approximately 1,000 shows at Barrington Stage. Wow. And all of us have worked together except for Alan, and I would like to know why. That's a different conversation.
Yeah, me too.
Play for all of us.
I think we
Yeah.
need to talk to.
I've been doing the musicals.
You stop doing those musicals.
You stop doing those. Stop doing it. Except
Too
he's,
bad you
he's
can't
rehearsing
sing.
for one now, so that's not gonna work out. So,
No, but what's your first show?
To Kill a Mockingbird with you. And the thing I remember about it that was so amazing, it was when Obama was first running for president. And so the time was pretty awesome because racism had kind of got into the closet a little bit, but it came bursting out during when he was running for president. And we were doing this play about it, so it was really amazing timing, and it was cool. And we got to do it for all of the schools in the area, in the Berkshires, and it was really fun. Except when we had to do those 10 o'clock matinees and sometimes fell asleep.
During Julie took David Atkins' desk away.
Yeah, that was bad, yeah. But it was really fun. It was a good group of people. And I miss those days when we did His Girl Friday and things like that. When we did that together, there was 22 of us, I think, in that cast. And nobody can afford to do that anymore. I mean, across the country, unless you're doing Shakespeare or an opera. So that's another really fond memory because there were so many of us. I mean, there was a lot of us.
And how many 10 by 10s have you done? Every single one?
13, yeah.
Is that every single one?
It's every single one. This is my 23rd show. Forgiveness will be crazy. All right, so what else was I going to, I was going to say, what shows have you worked on together, but I think you already kind of cleared that up. But you guys did Love Letters.
Deb and I did Love Letters, yeah, in 2016,
I don't know.
in the small space too.
I'm too old, I don't remember anything. It all becomes one thing.
And then you guys have done a lot together,
We've
right?
done many, and Chris has directed me as well.
Me too.
Yeah,
Not
Chris is a
me.
great
You did a
director
play
as
that I
well.
wrote too.
I know. All
Cyr-
Chris, all.
Cyrano.
Cyrano,
Private
Ernest,
Lives.
Private Lives, but Cyrano, Ernest, Private Lives,
Ring Round the Moon.
Ring Round the Moon,
Much Ado.
Much Ado,
His Girl Friday.
His Girl Friday, Boeing Boeing, you directed me in Shining City, you cast me and were supposed to direct me in this,
Right.
that's 9, are we?
Faith Healer.
Faith Healer 10,
Godot.
11, Godot, 11.
Wow.
I sponsored Godot.
I forgot.
That counts.
Faith Healer.
It counts.
Yeah.
11 shows.
It's probably more we're forgetting.
I'll leave that there.
So the next question is, when you work with people that you have worked a lot with, how do you feel about it? Is it a shorthand? Is it more, is it easier to work with each other so you don't have to go through learning each other, or do you not like it?
I'll say, just the first thing that pops into my mind is that walking into the room on the first day and being in rehearsal, there's like a little piece of your heart that opens up just because you have a history with these people, and I can't help but feel that lends itself to great collaboration and care and a deepness to the work.
I just want to add, you know, back in the day, repertory companies were a thing. They were the way theaters kind of birthed themselves and stayed alive and nurtured each other, and they also nurtured their community. And being bestowed with this honor of artistic associate here is the closest version we're going to get to it. Really, I now think in America, I mean, most of the companies have been disbanded. And to Chris's point, it's an amazing thing. I mean, it also challenges you in ways, because at least I can say for me, I've been cast in roles that probably I would never be cast in, ever, just because somebody's like, try this now, try that now. And that kind of faith and openness, willingness, and generosity is all real luxuries to have as an artist.
Agreed.
We also did the Crucible together.
We did the Crucible together, and we did Carousel.
Carousel, oh my gosh, yes.
And Julie Boyd's husband, who's a dentist, made you a weird
Maybe a gold
a
tooth.
gold tooth to wear.
I played Jigger, the bad guy, and I had a gold tooth thanks to Norman. Yeah, I did keep it somewhere.
Oh, you did? You have it? All right. So, let's talk about Boeing Boeing for a minute. What are, besides all the bruises that you all are probably covered in,
Map them.
what is the challenge?
This entire leg.
There's one point when you came off that couch and you like literally bounce on your hiney. It's so tell us how challenging this kind of is. Have you all seen it?
Yes.
You have to.
So
It's
good.
so funny. It's just.
I saw it last night. It's so
It's
good.
what we need right now. It's just silliness. It's so funny. You just laugh and laugh. So tell us what the challenge is to do a door slamming, timing, physical comedy, crazy thing.
Okay.
This has been so much fun. There's just been a lot of freedom, and I think going along with your last question about repeat working with actors, I think that, well, I know for me, there's kind of an immediate respect level. Like I just know they're going to be really good at what they're doing, and so if there's kind of a challenge in that, and it's just fun to rise up to it. And the timing of this show is very hard. It's very fast, and we trust each other. It's just trust. You just jump in and move along. And also, if someone messes up, there's a trust level that you will get caught and carry on. It's been such just a joy. Really a joy to work on this. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. And it makes us laugh.
It's really stupid. I'll also say, it's also, and I don't know why, honest to God, it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to work on. I don't know what I thought it was going to be, especially my track. It is so strenuous. I totally underestimated that. Thank God it's with this group of people. Thank God I'm not any older. I am aging rapidly though, playing this part. Farce is hard, people. It's like syncopation. I'm talking about music. I mean, it's the rhythm of the dialogue, the rhythm of the choreography, the text, the rhythm of the doors. It's just rhythm. And when you're on it, it flies, and when you're not, it hurts. Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. I feel like it's different than comedy in a weird way. Also, one of the things I said to somebody else, comedy is hard, I think too, in a weird way. Because you know instantly whether, it worked or not, quote unquote. So there's always that like, yay, fail, oh, it's that kind of thing. If you don't get that
Or you go
laugh.
off stage and you go, oh my God, they hate me.
It's hard, it's hard. Because with the drama, things unfold much, in a much more delicate way. So you never really know what the audience is thinking, but with the comedy, you know that, I know you're on board right away or not, and that's scary.
But it's fun.
Oh, but so much
Fun.
fun. And at the end of the evening, we really are just like, yes, all high-fiving backstage, because it really just feels like you just won this great match, this game.
Yeah, I'll say you're all beat up and bruised because you're just fearlessly flying through the play
Overworking.
and doing it brilliantly. As you guys know, Mark is just brilliant in this part.
Thank you.
And that's, you're giving your body and soul to the play, which is what it needs.
Oh, there's a new one.
Regarding the music, I was thinking the same thing. It feels like, because I have done musicals in the past, and you can attest to this, it feels like the orchestra starts and it's almost up-tempo the entire time. And we can feel it when, if someone goes up on a line, and it's you, it's always worse when it's you, because you can feel, you can see it in the other people's eyes. They're like, all of a sudden it's lemons. They're like, what have you done? Because the train has to keep going, and then you go, you come out with your line, you try to catch up. Yeah, that's what it's this sort of relentless pulse, and it feels really good to sort of ride that energy throughout the play. And it's much more of a dialogue, like you were saying, with the audience, because we get this laughter, we get this energy back from you, as compared to being in a play where it unfolds itself more naturally, I guess. So without you guys, we wouldn't have that energy for this play. So thank you.
We were sharing a rehearsal space with you guys, and we're doing this drama, and then we would hear all this craziness, but then you guys would come out for a break. And I remember one time I put your shoulders down because you came out like this, and it was because it is such hard work to make it look that easy. That's what I would say. And they do make it look flawless, and I know the work you guys put into it, so congratulations. Speaking of age, what is the different way you approach your work now at our exalted old age as opposed to when you were in your 20s?
Well, I will say it's interesting. So I'm doing Next to Normal, and it's the first role in like 18 years that I'm doing that I don't have anything to do with the creating of the role. So for the last 18 years, all I've been doing is creating new shows.
Wow.
So that has given me the ability to say, oh, you know what? This key was going to work better for me. These lyrics are sticking in my head. Let's go with this. But this, I just got to do what this is. So I was a little nervous about that. And one of the other things was my memory as an older person.
Oh, you should be me.
Yeah, so it's a real thing, right? It's a real thing. And sometimes when you're vulnerable and you talk about it with other actors, you realize, oh, I'm not the only one dealing with this. So for the first time in my life, I did something I've never done before. I paid somebody to teach me the part like a month before I got here. And I've never done that. Now again, I've been doing new shows that I might do it, 10 years, and then 8 years, and then in 5 years. And so the part is kind of in me, and they're building the part on me. But this, I had to just do what it was. But so I will just share with you, since you guys came, one of the things I've done, props have become my friends, because on my props, I can write a few of my lyrics. I'm just gonna tell you all that. You won't know that. And it's one of those things where as soon as you write it down and put it on the prop, then you don't need it.
Why are you looking
But
at me?
it's just a safety mechanism. So to go back to your question, the memory thing's a real thing. That's a real thing. And there was a couple of years ago where I really thought, I maybe can't do this anymore, because I'm having trouble. But then I just take a breath and realize that I've been doing this my whole life, and I'm gonna keep doing it. Okay.
I always wondered that about singers. Have you ever had this conversation? You know, because when you're in a straight play, I mean, of course, going up is a dreadful thing. I call it going to the white room, because all you feel is this hot white light on you.
Let me just say too, one of the first times that it really hit me was I did a play here, a world premiere play called American Underground, which was fantastic in the smaller space. And that play was easy to remember because it was written so brilliantly between a small family, but then about every 12th page, we all had these talk to the audience long monologues. Now, I only had one, but it was a page and a half of just me. And so when you mess up, when you're talking to other actors, you can help each other, they can help you. But when you're doing a page and a half monologue to the audience, it's like, and I really, like, I almost got an ulcer, because I'm just being real with you. I was so nervous, like, what am I gonna do if I mess up? And so I stopped saying, what am I gonna do if I mess up? And I just started saying, okay, Alan, you can do this. And I would be sick to my stomach sometimes, but I would get through it. And then I also realized I was putting an extra pressure on myself, that I needed to just relax and do the material. But anyway, that just reminded me.
No, I always just wondered, like, when it's set to music and you go up,
Well, yeah,
like,
you
there's
talk
that,
about the train.
like, what do you do when the music is playing the notes and your tongue's and your mind's not
I
saying
feel
them?
that you dance. You must dance. That's what I think.
You look down at the conductor who's going like this and laughing at you.
It's next to normal, it's truly a train. It starts and there's no, if you get off that, I don't know what we will do. So I'm just gonna try to stay on the train.
Is it all sung?
It's mostly sung through. There's like one kind of scene and there are, 4 and 5 line moments, but it's mostly a sung through piece.
When you said the page and a half monologue, I got a little shiver up my neck thinking of Faith Healer, where we had 25 and 35 and 40 page monologues last summer.
I had Dr. Ruth.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
Dr. Ruth.
That was something to learn.
Yeah,
Harry Clark for me.
Yeah.
that's right.
I've done it
75
before. I
years.
think it's kind of, I like doing it. I think every actor should do it in their career, do a one-person show just because it's something interesting. But I felt lonely. I like listening to people on stage, and my favorite part is the back and forth. And I really missed that when I did, because I did Shirley Valentine, and it was like, where is everybody?
Beautiful play.
Where is everybody?
Very
So,
good.
but it's pretty cool when you prove to yourself that you can do it. So tell us, this is a personal question. What's your worst childhood memory? What do you like to do on your days off here in the beautiful Berkshires? What do you love about the Berkshires? Somebody.
My favorite thing to do would be to go and hike Monument Mountain, but my body's too beat up, my knees. I'm afraid I'll get up and then I won't be able to come down. It's the coming down that hurts the knees. So usually it's getting out into nature.
For me, it's the people. One of them sitting in the front row right now, Ms. Rhoda Levitt. I developed some lifelong friendships thanks to this region and to this theater, something I never saw coming. And it's such a huge part of the fabric of my life. And I love the food, I love the mountains, I love the shopping and the galleries and everything, but my go-to, I always try to connect with the VIPs in my life here first. And there are many of them.
I drive to Albany and go to the Cheesecake Factory. But the other thing I enjoy, if I'm not doing that, I love all of like Jiminy Peak and the whitewater rafting at the Crab Apple Place, and there's a ropes course place that's right around near Jiminy Peak. I like to do all that kind of stuff.
And I live here, so when I work at Barrington, I'm home. And that's huge for me, it's huge. So basically on my day off, I lay on the couch with 2 tiny dogs and watch Love Island or something that I don't have to think about. And that's kind of what I do, and I'm in heaven.
What do you do?
Well, I live here too. I live in Dalton, so, which is how, I just don't like to travel to work, so I'm very grateful to get to work here. And I love to go to Tanglewood, and I love to go to the Jacob's Pillow. And the thing that's a little tough when you're working here is we know other people that work at the other theaters here, and we hardly ever get to see each other's work, because we're all, luckily, not complaining, we're always working at the same time. So that's kind of the downside of it, but I try and see as much, I try and see as much of the other theaters around here that we can, because, God, there's so much, we're so lucky here. It's pretty amazing.
Hey, Peggy.
Oh, nice, that's nice.
Hey Peggy, it's time for you to see some
Oh,
more
I have to go
theater
back to work now.
in the form of tech rehearsal. So we're going to keep talking, but we're going to give a big round of applause to Peggy. You guys can run back. Everyone come see her in forgiveness.
It came back to me through a friend of mine who's teaching a class that went to see Boeing Boeing one night. And he was shocked, he'd already seen the show twice, that the audience wasn't really responding. He said, I don't know how you could watch this and not be hysterically laughing. My question, what do you do when you're not getting the feedback from the audience that propels you through your performance? I'm curious.
You never know why that is. Sometimes you get an audience that's a little more intimate, and so they do it inside. They're quieter about it. Sometimes you get an audience that's really listening, and Boeing Boeing is so fast, so they might not be making noise because they're listening. You never know what the reason is. But I think most always we hit the big ones. Like there's some that everybody laughs at, and as long as we hit those, but every audience is different, and you learn from every audience. You learn the story they're following, and you get to know the ones that are listening, and if they're listening, you give that to them too. That's how I look at it.
Typically, I think we only had one night like that, and it was a Saturday night, and that's typical, because it's a date night, people have wine with dinner, and it's usually a flat night, anywhere, Broadway, everywhere. Saturday night is not usually
Notorious.
Yeah, and the Saturday before we opened was like that, but with this play, the first 15 minutes of it is setting up the story, so the real laughs don't start happening until he shows up, and then when Gretchen shows up, the German shows up, these big funny performances. By then, usually a little bit after Robert shows up, we have it, and things, so.
Yeah, I will say last night when I saw it, and again, it was just, it's spectacular. It's just an honor for me to be up here on the stage in the same category as these legends. But there was a woman on this side of the theater that was laughing really loud and kind of crazy loud. And
Sometimes
so
independently.
That affected the audience. There were literally people around me, they would do something funny, and then she would laugh, and then people around me would be like, who's that? And so it's just, and as the actor on stage, they wouldn't necessarily know that, although I know you could hear her, because she was, and let me be clear, she was having a good time. She just happens to have a piercing laugh. I'm not saying she did anything wrong, but it affected the overall audience's response. So that just goes back to what Debra said. You never know why. There could be a lot of, so the temperature of the theater. It's very important in a comedy for it to be cold. Because if people are warm, they won't laugh. You can be warm in a drama, but if you're in a comedy, that's why all the late night talk shows, it's like 60 degrees in those theaters. They're freezing. So there are little things like that that don't have anything to do with the performances.
Fascinating, thank you.
And I'm the one backstage going, it's hot, it's hot.
Hi, I just want to ask Mark H. Dold. I was so taken by your performance during the pandemic in 2020. And how was that for you? And what was it like to be performing alone on stage for a tent with probably very few people? I know when I was there, because they kept reducing the number. I just wondered how you feel about that. And just as a comment aside, I think your physical comedy in Boeing Boeing is absolutely magnificent. I've never seen anything like it. But anyway, that's my question.
Thanks, I appreciate that. You know, Harry Clark was was a mistake. I mean, not a mistake, it was what came out of Julie's head, sprung out of Julie's head in reaction to the world shutting down and theater shutting down across the world. It wasn't programmed, it wasn't any part of that season. She was going to be doing South Pacific and something else, and okay, now we can't do that, now we can't do that, now we can't do that. And I'll never forget, my phone rang at some point, and I saw it was Julie, and I thought, uh-oh. I know everybody was like, she's got an idea, a COVID idea, and it's somehow involved. But, it was a great honor. My process didn't change. I mean, I'm an actor like any actor, and I had lines to learn. I had to figure out who this character was and why this character wanted to take this audience through his journey. I was surprised how little that changed for me. It's a one-person show by nature, so in a strange way, the fact that I was alone all the time because of COVID didn't seem so strange. Fortunately, I was with a director whom I trust, you know, with everything. The shutting down, the changing, we were supposed to perform here. We had one rehearsal here, and then we were supposed to, I think, Brandon, I don't know, maybe go over to this small space, and then suddenly we were in a tent, and the show just kept getting hit so many times. So much was swirling around it. It was just so important to make sure it happened. I was letting everybody else, like Brandon and everybody else, worry about all that stuff. I still had a very similar job to do, so I did my best trying to do it, whether you did it, and at that time in life, to do it for 2 people was all that mattered. To do it for 60 people every night was, again, such a triumph, and not a triumph for me. It was a triumph for us. That first bow was, you know, we were applauding everybody who was there, because we were kind of demanding that life and theater and community continue in the face of this thing, that it was our way of showing one another that we were going to make it through. And yeah, it was significant in a lot of ways, but at the end of the day, really, I'm an actor, and I wanted to do a good job, and I just tried to do that. The circumstances are always changing. Your audience is wearing masks, you're in a big house, you're in a small house, you're outdoors, you're indoors. What we have to do fundamentally doesn't change, right? Yeah. I'm glad you were there.
Yeah, oh, I was. And
I'd love to remount it one day, but you can't get the rights now.
No. I think it was, everybody when I was there was crying.
Yeah, it was about us.
It was very emotional.
Yeah.
It was one of 2 shows
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah.
And then there was a review as well that
Yeah.
Barrington did, but people were absolutely emotional
Yeah.
and crying, and it was really amazing.
And the fact that it was the first show, I'm glad. We weren't racing toward that. That was not a part of the agenda at all. That's just the way the dates fell out. That we happened to be in front of an audience before anybody else just was coincidence.
Alan was in that review, by the way.
Yeah,
I remember I
was
got
in that
to
season as well.
got to
Yeah.
see you and Alan in that. Yeah,
That tent was magic
that was
in a
important.
in a strange way.
Yeah.
Even with good old Pittsfield alive and you know, the orchestra of Pittsfield behind you. But one of the delightful things, both you were in the other tent, we were here next to the Polish Center. The community came together in a way too, like even the ambulances on their way to BMC, once they knew we were up, they would turn their sirens off as they went past us, and then they turned them back on. Just, you know, kind of out of respect for what everyone was trying to do at the time.
I think we have time for one more question. Anyone just dying? We've got two dying. Okay, we'll do two really quick.
Well, it's one more question. So I have safe to say that I've been to thousands of performances. This is my favorite show I have ever watched in my whole long life. But I have to tell you a few reasons why. One is because I want everybody that's here to have an appreciation for the fact that three of the best actors that Barrington Stage has ever had, and since the day that they opened the first show, these three are at the top evermost ladder you can imagine. Personal charm. All three of them are just delightful and warm and friendly. They're talented. They respect each other. The show itself, I don't think I've ever seen a show where the timing was so specific. The door would open, the other would close. It was just totally amazing. And I am so proud of all of you. I particularly, Mark, how you mention my name is ridiculous. Forget it, I'm gonna cry the whole rest of the day. Debra Jo, Chris, Alan, I've been kissing them all. If I don't get COVID this week, I'm gonna be shocked. I've been kissing all four of them all week. I love you, and I want people to know that if you haven't seen this show, you must see it because it will be memorable forever if you go to theater always. Bye, thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna do one more question over here after that incredible plug from Rhoda. I love it.
I know that the woman here and Eileen both saw Boeing Boeing in New York City. I've never seen it, but you were so crisp in your timing, and it was just so seamless. I wonder how much you guys had to do with it, like how much feedback you gave one another as you prepared and as you created this amazing performance. Because I was just with it from the very beginning. And I thank you so much.
Well, I was sort of, I could have done that. Okay.
I was kind of door police during rehearsal because I knew if the doors didn't get shut, Berta was going to have to fix it when we got on stage. So I was the one that went around and said, that door's being left open. We need to shut that door. But we just worked so well together. All you had to do was say, oh my God, can someone shut that door? And somebody would run in to shut it or make a moment out of it or do something. And also, I think the hitting of the kitchen door gave a rhythm that
I want to see your hand.
my hand is fine.
The one that you hit the door with 20 times.
I know, but I think that also helps because it's a swinging door, so you don't hear it shut or open. So that helped other people make entrances and exits, so we have little tricks. We found little things.
And also, I think, she's not here, but, Julie Boyd, for
Yes.
the 30th anniversary season, said, I want to do one of my favorite pieces with some of my favorite actors. And it shows, and so you got to give it up for her for kind of putting them all together, knowing it will be magical.
Yeah, absolutely. And Julie did a beautiful job. And the thing about this, being in a rehearsal room for 3 weeks, we really didn't know what we had until we got up here, and then we had a lot more space, and we could find the rhythm with the doors, exits and entrances coming in and out. And this beautiful set just really feeds us. And Julie did an amazing job of putting together a great team of designers. And so, and then with the familiarity of the actors, it all sort of came together.
Yeah, and I was going to say the good fortune too of it's not just the three of us. There are six of us.
Yeah.
The three stewardesses are just on fire, and many times I just like, a good actor gives you what you need, gives you your performance, and you just respond in kind. And often I find that there is a great deal of physical comedy, obviously, but often I find that happens not just with the familiar faces, but the three extraordinary new team members that we have. and Gisela and Stephanie and Kate are amazing. And I'd also like to give props to Alan Paul for scheduling a brilliant season. You know, there have been many, many hits and more big hits to come. Next to Normal is an amazing musical, and hopefully you will love and support that as well.
But you
All
were
right.
Robert, and you were Bernard, and you were Barrington. That was fantastic.